Meanwhile, Skeletor's team knows exactly how to use it. He has a technician that can just dial in anything, can track this other thing across galaxies, and has no problem.
They don't even know that. They don't even know there's a second one, right? Like, that's what Gwildor says. He's like, they don't even know I have this, but they can track it. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Like, how do they know how to use it more than he does? It still doesn't make any sense.
I can't help thinking, somewhere in the universe, there has to be something better than man. Has to be. Ascension to 10.
All right.
Eater.
Wow. Here we are.
Here we go.
Yeah. I actually got the slider right away, and it really threw me off because it actually worked. Here we go. Here we are.
Here we go.
Speaking of we,
yeah, there's this kid. There's this guy.
Who do we got in the studio tonight?
It's the BRRUN. It's the Brian and the man. He's got a big plan.
BRRWEN. I think that's what I heard. Doesn't make any fucking sense. But yeah, I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm here.
Brian's here. And he was supposed to be here last week, but he decided to take a fucking nap. Well, yeah. And missed the recording.
I watched that whole movie too. The science theater mystery,
space
the whole
mutiny
thing. Yeah,
that's great.
Pretty incredible.
Hey, what did you get to hear the part about Jad telling the story about his elf ears? Oh, that's too bad.
It's too bad. You missed out.
It's too bad. The little kid said he looked like an elf.
Dang.
Well, anyway.
Dang.
I gotta get caught up.
Dang.
Shoot.
Crap, dang it.
We've had a very exciting week. We have Jad has joined the social media verse.
That's right.
Really came in just popping.
Yeah.
On Thursday or Friday. This
week.
Are
you guys in the midst of a tiff right now?
When aren't we?
I mean,
well, there's something about Tenet.
Well, my favorite thing is I always put polls up, and I might adjust how they are originally phrased to the benefit of my argument, per se.
That's not something that you really should admit. Just let it happen.
Anyway, to recap, here's what happened with that poll, in case anyone's up to date on the social media platform, Ascension to 10 podcast.
Yeah, I've been watching.
Yeah. I said a couple weeks ago that I finished watching Tenet for the first time, and I couldn't hear what they were saying. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I left it at that. Spenny said, you should get your ears checked or whatever.
Yeah.
And that was it. And so then I find this article saying Tenet dialogue is unintelligible. And so I sent it to the lounge and said, it's not just me. Take it back. And he said, we've never talked about this. I don't know what you're talking about.
Just like last week.
I did
so
see
I
that.
pulled up the screenshots of dates, times, responses. And I just said, boom, right? Or whatever. And then Spenny comes out with this poll with no context saying, like, does Jad need his hearing checked? Yes or no?
Well,
and
I still stand by that fact because, to be clear, there has been 3 or 4 times on this podcast where you've gone, I could not understand the dialogue. I had to put subtitles on.
Coincidence? Maybe.
Okay.
I think so. We watch a lot of old movies that aren't mixed well, right?
Yeah, I would say
okay,
subtitles.
Fine.
Pretty imperative for some of these older movies.
Yeah, but that prompted me to. I couldn't take it anymore, and I've never been aware of what Spenny does behind the scenes on the social media platform. So I said, you know what?
Which is
Give me
not
the
behind the
keys.
scenes.
It's
It's like-
time.
Very much
It is.
out there.
Well, I don't have any social medias, right? So I don't.
Yeah.
I can't
Behind
look
your
at this.
scenes. Yeah.
And so I said, give me the keys. It's time to roll.
Dad, give me
And-
the keys.
You've been rolling.
For all of you out there, buckle up because this is not going to slow down. And
Yeah.
speaking of which, please check us out on our social media platforms. Ascension number
That's
2
right.
TEN,
Yep. With on
Instas,
Instagram, Facebook, Twitter.
Twitters.
You can also find us on YouTube. It's the Ascension 210 podcast. You can like, review, subscribe there as well.
Yep.
Yep. Please subscribe. Even if you're not going to watch, go ahead and go over there. Hit the links in the description,
hit it.
obviously. Just hit subscribe.
Yeah.
You can leave.
Smash it.
Drop a
leave.
thumbs up.
Yeah.
Or not. It literally doesn't matter. But point is, buckle up for some amazing
Unscripted
social media content.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Spenny, I will admit, Spenny does a great job of curating relevant information related to the show and us.
I'm concerned
does.
at what content will come out of the other side because I don't know. Last night there's some weird slow-mos of you just sitting on a fucking couch.
He's just slowing it down for all of us to really take it in. If you listen closely, I think he's saying, "Please subscribe."
Yeah.
That's all I said. Please subscribe to the Ascension to 10 podcast.
Yeah.
Can't get any more complicated than that.
No,
All right.
I appreciate it.
Could
Fine.
get less complicated than that.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get it. You get it. Doesn't matter.
You get it. Well,
Anyways, all that being said, there's going to be then at least twice as much social media content. So if that's what you like to, indulge in,
yeah.
That's what they're asking for these days.
Yeah, that's what
Yep.
the kids want. They just
Rapid
want
fire.
they want some more. They just want more of it. So I guess we'll give them more.
Yeah.
you'll
it
get
up.
a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
You can download this.
Maybe we should give the keys to Brian and let it just go completely into flames.
Probably will.
And just get the account shut down.
I just peep in every once in a while, maybe say a little something, dip out.
Something.
Yeah, a
Well,
little
something.
something.
Well,
Okay.
there was one other thing this week that is related to the three of us. So my son was eating a Uncrustable yesterday, and he didn't eat any of it, which is
Wait,
totally
the way
disappointing.
you frame that suggested otherwise, but
Well,
he was eating an Uncrustable yesterday, and he
his
didn't eat
teeth-
any of it.
His teeth went into it, and then it got put back on the plate. But it's been years since I've seen an Uncrustable. Frankly, I forgot about them. And then the disappointment that you get one for your son, and you have all these warm memories of eating Uncrustables, and then he doesn't. But all this to tie into the fact that we all went to a Uncrustable party once. For when we were up at Brian's family's lake house, and the
Go on the
fact
back of a
is
pickup
that
truck
we
to
were
get there.
invited to an Uncrustable party.
No.
and
Okay. You're already wrong. We did not get invited.
oh,
We crashed that party.
We crashed that party. Yeah, I remember
Okay.
walking in. Well, we, the three of us, and
We're
a few
not
other
invited.
people, we got invited by a friend
Sam.
of ours.
Yeah.
Sam.
we got invited
Ooh.
by a friend of a friend. See,
Yeah.
So we
and
technically-
Sam might have gotten invited, but
It didn't seem like that.
I-
Because
know.
here's what I remember. I think at the time we were 22, 23 at most, right?
21. Yeah,
21
Just
at
yeah.
most.
yeah, I think we were fresh.
And
yeah.
so we were at Sam's side of the lake or something, or the different lake or whatever.
Yep.
And he said, "You guys ever hear about Uncrustables?" And we're like, "Oh, sure, whatever."
Yeah. In the school lunch system, we did have.
And he said, "Well, turns out the people that made him have a cabin on the other side of this lake. They're having a party right now."
yeah.
So I'm just saying. And then
So my biggest takeaway from that party was that I don't think there was a single Uncrustable
No,
in that entire
There wasn't.
place.
That was
there were no
that was
Uncrustables
literally-
at all.
That was literally the biggest disappointment. Is we all thought we were gonna at least get a Uncrustable out of this deal.
all it
It
was was a party at the person who made the Uncrustable house, lake house.
Yep.
Sam just said there's going to be an Uncrustable party.
Yep.
But when we walked in there, it's a group of 8 or 10 21-year-olds, and it's a bunch of 40-year-olds hanging out at their house. So that's how I remember we weren't invited.
For sure. Because we didn't know anybody but Sam.
No.
Yeah. That's it. I think to me the more memorable part was just the drive over in the pickup truck. In the back of the
all the lawn chairs.
You guys sitting in lawn chairs?
Yeah, we had lawn chairs set up in the back of a big what was it, a Dodge?
Yeah.
Dodge
Big
pickup?
Ford diesel truck.
But with like a closed top. So
big top.
But I do remember Derek Wooters was with us on
friend of the show.
I think we went up for multiple weekends or two different weekends, and I can't remember if we only had the truck one of the weekends, but either way, a lot of things happen in that truck.
Well, we also took.
We don't need to go into all
town,
the
right.
But we basically got chased out of town in that truck, and some guy like tried to punch into the window, and his fist went like this. It was like, here's the window, and my face is right here, and it was like,
the elbow caught the door.
Caught the door. But but what I was gonna say was my favorite was when we were heading to the so I think we were heading to Sam's Lake, and there were like 4 of us in the back, and I think Sam might have been driving or you were driving, Spenny. But either way, the driver decided to take a corner really fast, and I think kind of like slid the ass of the truck. Sounds like it was probably you.
Yeah, sounds right.
And I just remember I think Wooters was like maybe mid drink and just wasn't prepared for it, and so he was like, ooh, just like his lawn chair just slid and fell over to the other side. It was, I don't know, that awesome. Memory is just so vivid in my brain. Yeah,
my last memory of that night was Spenny, you were somewhere, you left or something, and it was time for the rest of us to go, and we're just like, well, he has a phone, so we'll just hear about him from him later, I guess.
Yep.
We're leaving the Uncrustables party, right? And we start driving out. This is middle of the nowhere, South Dakota, up by a lake. There's no street lights. It's blacker than there's less light than you'd find in a void, right?
Yeah,
a vacuous void. There's no light. And
nearby.
We come across
tall bulrushes
Spenny
on both sides of the road.
And Spenny's just in the middle of the road, but pitch black. Walking uptown.
Do you know how far that that drive is like a 10-minute drive at 55 miles an hour? That walk would have taken you.
We're just like, oh, well, that's Spenny, I guess.
Hop in.
Hey, whatever, man.
Yeah, we were living. We were freely back then.
So
but that was,
There was another story I was going to bring up last week when we thought you were coming, Brian.
Oh yeah.
Was I think that we've used this phrase maybe once or twice on the show before, where you can't just give up. And the origin of that is one of my favorite Spenny phrases of all time.
Same.
You can't just give up.
You can't just give up.
We were in college. We were in college, and the 3 of us went to different schools, and so at one point we went down to Omaha to see our buddy Matt Hubble. We've talked about him on the show quite a bit, and so it was the 3 of us and another couple friends, and we were going to drive down there together. You were in Vermilion, so we picked you up on the way. That was the plan, right? We had this whole schedule and stuff. We get to Vermilion, not answering the phone, right? Just nothing. And we're just like, where do we go? And then you call us eventually. And it's like, oh yeah, I was hanging out at the pool. So then we had to go to your place, and then you hadn't packed or anything.
You haven't done anything.
You hadn't prepared anything.
Maybe I don't remember. I mean, I was a little shit back. Just not.
This is Broy Bry.
This is Broy Bry face.
Yeah, this was Broy Bry, who who was at the center of his own world, and everybody else was just living in it. So
we're like,
yeah.
So we're in your place now. You're getting ready, packing up and stuff, and then you decided to shave and everything, and you're like taking a shower. And so at this point, we're already an hour behind what we told Hubble we were going to get to Omaha, and we still had close to 2 hours to drive. And so finally get there. This is before smartphones and everything, so we just kind of had to know the map and the route and stuff. And we pull up to what we thought was his apartment, call him. We're finally there, right? And I give him a call. Nobody answers. So I just say, well, he didn't answer. Like, what are we gonna do? Story over, right? Turn around.
This is the end of the road, guys.
Spenny comes out with this. Well, call him back. Can't just give up. Can't just give up. But I think we were so late that Hubble went and started to do something else. Like, he knew we were coming, right? But he was gone.
Yeah.
He had entered another level at that point.
Yeah.
I take all the credit.
He was on a path.
Yes.
Sure. He was on a path towards oblivion.
As he usually was.
Anyways.
Yeah, that was bro, Brian. I look back on those days and I say, what a sweet little selfish little child.
We were all stupid back then.
It's all right.
I think it's funny because it does make for a really great story. Because when I hear it, I'm like, I care so much about trying to be on time to things like that.
We showed up in Vermilion and you were actively at the pool.
Was that a pool?
Like you were not anywhere near ready. It was just
like, I'm just trying to, because I don't remember the details of like our planned trip. I don't know if we had like said, hey guys, we're heading down in a caravan, and if it was exchanged with me, I just was like, cool, they'll be here. Be here. I'm gonna be wherever I'm gonna be. Not ready at all.
Oh, it was awesome. It was a fun trip either way.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
good times.
It was good times. All right.
Well, there was one other thing I wanted to bring up. Like for my own education here.
Yeah.
Spenny, you've had some sleep problems, right? And you've talked about it, I think, on the show. I can't remember exactly the details that have been shared in the show.
I can't remember what the disconnect was because I think we started talking about it.
Yeah. At one point. But can you remember and go back in time and talk about the sleep test that you did and the device and
Well, yeah. So this is kind of a somewhat of a typical day story. I mean, for the most part, had trouble sleeping. Been trying to figure out, what the cause was. So decided to go see the doctor, and the doctor was like, "Hey, kind of the baseline steps are to take a sleep test." And it's like, well, you don't have to go into one of the places and do like the full on stay there, do a sleep test, get hooked up. Like you can do them at home now. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, that sounds great. So they'll send you the equipment and, you record for a couple nights and then you send all the stuff back. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. Cool. And like, they called me like the next day from this medical company, like, hey, we need to figure out what your stuff is. And it's like, it'll be $140 for the equipment. That's what your cost is. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, I have no idea what the equipment is. So I was like, okay, sounds good. Good, cool. And then I wait for like 3 weeks before it actually comes. And it's in a box. It's like in like a 8-inch by 4-inch box. Like it's a big box. And you like hold it up and you shake it and you just hear this little like this tiny little thing is inside it. And you open it up and there's one piece of paper with instructions of how it works. And it's literally just one of those O2 readers you put on your finger. Like you can go down to CVS and you can go get one for $2. And this is what I paid $140 for because it connects to an app. And all it does is read my O2 overnight, which I have an Apple Watch, which does the same thing.
That's right.
So I paid $140 to find out if I stop breathing, if my oxygen levels fall below, which they don't. Everything was normal. They also told me that for a few hours it didn't register. It's because the thing fell off my fucking finger. Because it goes on your finger, and when you move or anything, it falls off. So for like 3 hours, it fell off, and then I woke up and put it back on. So it was
it's a gap
useless.
in the study.
I just got the bill. I just got the bill for the doctor's office for the stupid visit where I got nothing out of it other than to be told that the medical thing is going to send me something. But it was like $300 because it was not a normal visit and all this other bullshit. So I ended up spending like $400 on some little O2 reader.
Well, I would like to see your typical...
Right? You had to send it back?
Yeah.
Did you keep it or did you have to send it back?
No, I had to send it back or it was like another $400 charge.
The funny thing is that, okay, it fell off while you were sleeping, right? And so the only data it collected was when you were awake again to put it back on.
Right.
And so it wasn't recording any of your sleep.
Yeah. I actually had a full-on sleep study done in college because I was like, I was waking up like 9-10 times a night. So those are like $3,000 in medical bills by the time it's done. Did like the stay there, whatever, and had the whole like dome piece put on, and then like I think it's kind of silly because they don't turn out the lights. So like, I mean, I just remember the room being like a dim hospital room, and I've got this thing, all these things attached to me. I've got a bunch of things on my fingers, and I just have wires. There's like, I would never sleep like that. I can't sleep like that. I'm a light sleeper anyway. So I've just got all of this shit on me and around me. And I don't know, probably like, I think I had a strap around my chest and whatever. And I did the sleep study. Don't even really remember if I like had a full REM cycle. Like I feel like I was just awake the whole time. Yeah, because I don't know, it just wasn't. It was so not comfortable. And then I saw the doctor who was reading it, and I didn't know because I didn't meet her beforehand. But she said our visit was about 8 minutes. She came in and was just like, "Well, it looks like your breathing is normal. Looks like your REM cycles are fine. I think that this might be psychological, so I'm going to prescribe you to Benadryl. And I'm just going to take that will help you, get into the sleep cycle and whatever." And so I can thank her for getting me addicted to Benadryl for like 2.5 years, where I was taking that. I thought I couldn't sleep without it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's like, and I did actually find out that like 6 months after she gave me this diagnosis of it being psychological, and then prescribing me to something I can buy for cheaper than the prescription, just grabbing it off the shelf.
Yeah.
She was fired.
Oh, solid.
She was. I don't know if it was malpractice or what it was, but she was.
Yikes.
She got let go. So, all right, that was my sleep study story.
That's an expensive typical day. Yeah,
it was
even more so.
I think I remember you talking about this in the past, but what came to mind first when you're talking about your sleep, Brian, was that I just remember after school when you were living in Sioux Falls, your fucking bed was on this like set of risers or something. You had a pallet underneath your your pillow or something, so you were like at an incline.
Well, it was. I mean, it was intense. Like even now, our bed there's like just brick, like a brick under each side.
Oh, is that because of acid reflux or something? Or okay,
and that's
okay
for me. This is not really relevant for the podcast, but for me, I have laryngopharyngeal reflux, which is like, it's not as severe, but it's enough over the course of time where it could damage my vocal cords. So I've got to be
the moneymakers.
Yeah.
You gotta get those things insured.
So I'm on a brick, which is like, I mean, like 3.5-4 inches, but it used to be like my bed was like literally
I know, it was insane.
Slide down.
You really just need to get one of those like geriatric adjustable beds where you
I know.
just sit up.
True.
Yeah, you're right.
do.
Sit
You
at
need
a 45 angle.
I
want
think Sleep Number has those. You know, they can make them adjustable.
Maybe
If you
someday.
If you're ever into.
For now, the bricks will do.
Not
though.
today.
I mean, I'm
bricks are
I'm
fine.
liking the bricks.
If the
are
bricks
fine.
work, don't change it.
Exactly. Loving the bricks.
Yeah.
Let's go. You cracked the code.
Let's go.
Speaking of let's go, what about this movie? Because I finished it. I finished it approximately 7 minutes before we hopped on.
Excellent. So it should be
Perfect.
fresh,
And you want to know
right?
why I finished it then was because I watched Tubi. I watched it on Tubi, and I got absolutely ass blasted with ads. We're talking 6-pack of ads every time, like ad 1 of 6. And it happened like 5 or 6 times.
Wow.
That's so many ads.
That's awesome.
No, it
We
wasn't.
didn't get. I
It's
got
worse
one.
than seeing it on TNT or whatever.
Hour and a half
Honestly,
movie,
it's like
2.5 hours long.
Yep.
It was.
Yeah, so
It was a lot longer.
well, the other thing that sucks is this is doing these movie reviews where sometimes we start movies and don't finish them or forget to start them till like a new month starts. And this was on HBO till November 30th, and then December 1st jettisoned off the Tubi. So that is why we never realized that until we started this podcast, how often movies like switch streaming services or to different stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but we are talking about Masters of the Universe from 1987, the
Yeah.
story of He-Man with Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella and Courtney Cox that are in it.
And
Is
Billy
it
Barty.
Matthew Lillard in the Kevin?
Oh yeah, and Billy Barty.
Okay.
What?
Is it Matthew Lillard who's the boyfriend?
The boyfriend? It is
Kevin?
It's Robert Duncan McNeil.
Okay. All right. Next.
He is from. He's best known for Star Trek Voyager. He's in Star Trek Voyager.
there you go.
So if that's
That's
helpful.
some familiar territory for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's Tom the pilot.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tom. Got it.
yeah. Tom.
Tom.
Yeah. So made in '87. What do you have? Do you have your classic?
Let's
recap. Or
Yeah, let's do a synopsis first.
Yep.
Well, here, let's do budget 22
Yep.
million, 59 million in today's numbers. Box office was only 17 million, so it flopped. 47 million in today's numbers. They actually were in talks of making a sequel like right after this was done, even though I mean by all aspects financially it was a flop.
Yeah.
But Dolph Lundgren said he couldn't do it. Like it was one of those other movies where it was like, it was the lowest point in my career. I would never
Another
do
moron
it
movie.
again. But yeah, but then he said when he was doing Expendables, like I would do another one if I could be like a cameo of He-Man or something. And it was like, oh, okay.
Bro, you said this came out in '87.
Yeah.
Damn, he was in Rocky 4 in '85. That sucks. Like I can see this being a thing where he did this and then did Rocky, but to do Rocky 4 and then this,
Yeah.
I can understand that now.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, yeah, there was financial difficulties with the company that made this Canon Cinema. They like basically had to like really push a really tight deadline to film everything and get it all done, and they actually ran out of money like for the last 3 days, so they just shut it off. So they had 3 days left of filming to do, and they shut it off till they finally were able to like acquire the funds to do it. So 2 months later they came back and they finally got to do the final finale, which is like the big battle and stuff.
Yeah.
I
wonder.
so it was like a 2
knowing
month gap
that-
to do
Is that
it.
why
you know
nobody's
that
in the
before-
town?
Did you know that before you watched it or after?
No, I did not till after.
Okay, I would be so curious to see if you could, in terms of just like costume, hair, stuff like that, if you could see a noticeable difference.
Well,
in-
Skeletor does a it does a transformation. So
we'll get to Skeletor in a second.
That final battle just takes place with 0 extras, right?
Yeah.
Just an empty town that couldn't afford anybody to be there.
Yeah,
that's right. Well, yeah, that was the biggest thing. There was only 25 cast in this whole film, which is weird. And then about 300 filmmakers. So,
dang.
Wow.
Let me do the synopsis, and then we can just keep digging into it since we've started talking about the end and stuff, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Hit it.
Hit it.
In an epic battle between good and evil, a jacked He-Man wearing straps and a Speedo wielding a ginormous sword faces off with his sworn enemy Skeletor, who is a big bag of bones with a robe on. Skeletor tricks a dwarf, Gwildor, into giving him the cosmic key that can teleport people anywhere using synthesizer tones. He uses the key to take over He-Man's beloved Grayskull and captures the sorceress. He-Man ends up running away from Skeletor and going to Earth. He teams up with a teenage couple, Julie and Kevin, along with Gwildor, Teela, and Man-of-Arms, to battle Skeletor minions and black robot stormtroopers. He eventually battles in a music shop, and Skeletor arrives to put on a parade to no one in the middle of the night. They all end up back at Grayskull, where Skeletor takes He-Man's swords. A giant butthole opens behind the throne, and Skeletor digitizes into Kabu Golden Skeleton. They have one last more epic battle between He-Man. Skeletor, of course, gets destroyed by He-Man. Skeletor falls down a giant hole and dies. Or does he?
Big butthole got me. It's good. It's a good little.
It did.
Yeah. Oh my god. This is. You did highlight a few things that I'm glad you said something, because like was getting flashes of, it's so fresh in my mind. Right. Getting flashes of like the things that I was laughing at. The parade to nobody was pretty funny. But
that was one of my notes. It's like a Thanksgiving Day parade with Skeletor with literally nobody around.
Yeah. Like moving at like 1 mile per hour.
Well,
okay, I gotta say first.
Yeah, go ahead, Ted.
Did any of you guys watch the cartoon or whatever, or know anything about?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, I remember watching some of it.
Is this an adaptation of that, or like a spin-off?
No,
not spin-off, but like, what did the cartoon come before this?
The cartoon came before this, so that was where it was actually based off the toys. So Mattel had rights to He-Man, so they were making their own version of this. Okay. But like one of the things is like they didn't have the cat, they didn't have his battle cat, and a few other things. They changed the name of the dwarf to this Gwildor and some other things. But it's like loosely connected. It was like Mattel had a lot of rules on like how this film had to be made. And like one of them was none of the main characters from their series of toys could be killed in the film. So that is why they have robots instead of humans for all the black soldiers, is because they didn't want anybody to be killed, even though they had one of the, those henchmen that he sends, those 4 guys, that one just gets knocked out by Skeletor, Sauber or whatever his name is.
I would just like to say really quick, because you brought it up, I don't want to circle back to it. That was the coolest one. All the other ones look so fucking stupid and so not like just running around like idiots. And this one actually had like this really cool prosthetic looking like whatever, like a frog thing here. Gone.
They couldn't afford to keep doing that. Doing that.
No,
effect, right?
They kept the ugly sister of an orc, the one with the huge white hair.
Yeah. That's Karg.
So,
was it Karg?
So,
I think it's
Karg. Blade.
Okay.
They kept Blade.
Blade was my favorite. I have lots of notes on Blade.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Blade. He was something. And who was the other one? I don't even know.
Beastman.
Beastman. That was the first one.
There's He-Man, and then there was Beastman.
Beastman. Yeah.
Crack team.
Yeah.
That
anyway,
owned
the reason I asked if the cartoon came before was because I found myself just being like, this movie just really it just drops you right in, and then it's just going, and there's no backstory on who He-Man is, how, like, what are his, like, why does he have powers? Like, you kind of just learn it through, which I get, like, that's a way to tell the story. That's a way to tell a story, but there was just no.
Yeah,
I don't know.
to your point, Brian, I think it was assumed that you knew everything, right?
Yeah, and it was
because
it was hard to remember.
After.
Yeah, it was hard to remember. The one thing that I know from He-Man is he gets his power from his sword, and by all means, he doesn't appear to lose his power when he doesn't have his sword. And then at the end, he finally does his classic phrase of "I have the power," and his sword like lights up.
Yeah,
but he lost his sword and at the end, and Skeletor took it, and he's just tied up. But other than that, like, he appears to be still strong and all this other stuff. So it's like kind of a weird situation.
So because I didn't know anything about the show, I mean, obviously I'd heard of Skeletor and He-Man and all that stuff, right? But I didn't know the context. I had heard of Castle Grayskull, but I always just assumed that was the evil lair for Skeletor.
That's how I kind of remember it, but now seeing it
makes Castle Grayskull is such an ominous name.
Yes.
Why would they call that the power seed of good and evil, of the nexus of balance for the universe? Castle Grayskull, and Skeletor doesn't even. Skeletor was master of the Mountain of Snakes or something, right? Snake Mountain.
Yeah.
That's just dumb, right? Yeah. Have Skeletor be the Castle Grayskull guy.
98% of the movie regarding Skeletor was just him sitting in his throne area and just like contemplating how great it's going to be when he has all the power. The whole fucking character arc for him was just
I have
like
all the power.
Like at one point, that one girl, her name was like a name, but not really. It was
Evelina.
Yeah, it was supposed to be Evelyn, but it was Evelyn. She was like, I don't know, like on her knees, like kind of laying, like with her arms in his lap. Looked like she was maybe like holding his hips, looking up at him, and he's just contemplating the power.
Yes, it'll be so good when they're slaves. They're gonna love me. And she's
dialogue.
Like, yeah, they're not gonna love you.
Yeah. So, oh my god, that killed me.
I do want to give one positive thing to this film, and that is like the makeup and the designs and the costumes. Like, all in all, I felt like Skeletor for the 1980s, I feel like that was pretty good.
Yeah, that looks pretty legit.
It looked pretty legit, but I was but it was dumping on it a little bit. But mainly the thing that I was dumping on the most were the eyes. His eyes. I couldn't stop laughing at it. Like, I think it's because like the way where our eyes are set in our, like, if I was a skeleton, these like, I think they're kind of centered in those holes.
Yeah.
But because he was a skeleton, he was wearing a skeleton mask thing, and his eyeballs were like further back in the holes.
Yeah.
Well, and they're
so narrow.
Closer. Yeah, they're closer.
So he just looked like he was just cross-eyed.
Well, and they had so many shots at an angle to his face, right? They favored like these diagonal shots, and when he was, you could see his then outside eye, but it was just pointing straight into his prosthetic, right? He's looking at the camera.
Yeah, there were a couple times where they did the side profile shot, and specifically once he was fully gold erecto status Skeletor, he said something
back, right?
Yeah, he said something, and his prosthetic didn't even move, but you could see the shadow of his actual mouth moving inside of the skeleton mask. But it's fine though. Like, I get it, and I agree. Like, for the time period, I knew it was 80s for sure, but I think that they did a good job with the prosthetics. Gwildor had one eye. That
it was kind of
every once in a while I feel like the prosthetic kind of stopped working, so he was just like just like one crushed eye.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so okay, the first note I have okay, so the opening scene is Skeletor's already taken Castle Grayskull, so there's no exposition in terms of the battle leading up to him, taking the castle. So he's already in there, and it's like he's like, "Yo, where's He-Man? Right? Where is he? Because he's not here." And the sorceress who occupies that space in this nexus of good and evil, she said, "Well, he's on the front lines," or somebody tells him that, and you pan out to He-Man. He's in the desert alone,
all by himself.
There's nobody around him, and then then a few people walk up. They're carrying Gwildor in a net, right? And then He-Man just takes them all out. But okay, so Gwildor is this little troll thing, and he says he introduces himself as the master of keys. He's this master locksmith and inventor. And one of his first lines, he says, "I'm the master of keys, right? You know, I can unlock everything." And he says he's taken He-Man and the team to his little house. And there's this thing where, you know, things aren't like they used to be, because it wasn't that long ago that you didn't have to lock your doors.
Right.
Right. And so he's saying that he had nothing to do. Right.
Yeah.
He's a locksmith and nobody locked their doors. Right. So what was his job?
Well,
that is
also
funny. I didn't think about that at all.
That's awesome. Also, when he gets them into his place, and then he does all these like super locks, and it's like 3 inches of steel just locking all over different locations.
Yeah.
And then he's talking about the fact that he had the cosmic key. He made the cosmic key. He got tricked into giving it to Skeletor through Evil Lyn. And then he talks about like he's just turning on this new one and like showing it how it works. But then there's the part where he says, "Well, no, if you use it, then they'll know where you are."
Yeah.
And it's like, well, they already know where you live, because you just said they tricked me and I made them one, or they took the one that I had.
Yeah.
And then the next scene is that they're just getting blown up.
Even more. So, he says that. He says something about how, well, yes, they will find out where we are, but also we can't use it because of some graviton interference, right? He specifically says that he cannot teleport them back to the throne room to rescue the sorceress because of graviton interference. Yeah. Yet the rest of the movie, Kevin's mashing that fucking button every chance he gets to open up these portals, right? And it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But even more than that, he says, no. Okay, but because He-Man says, "Can you open a portal to the throne room so that we can get the sorceress?" And he says, "Bro, 10 steps ahead of you. I already locked in those coordinates. Cannot use it though because of these graviton waves."
Yeah. Of course, because that's the last place that I dialed in.
But so I do happen to have a back door here that just goes directly to the throne room.
Goes directly to the throne room.
It's so
quick.
Like, what are we doing
completely
here?
Irrelevant that he has this cosmic key whatsoever.
I
they literally just walk to it.
I just think also for being the master of keys and also the creator of this thing, he doesn't know how to fucking use it. Every time he has to use it, he's fumbling with it like he's never touched it before. Doesn't know how to make just punch in the right chords. He's like,
well, it's always at a 2.
I've got it backed up or something like that. Like I got the coordinates backed up, but then it gets fried, but then it can be used again somehow at the end of the movie.
Meanwhile, Skeletor's team knows exactly how to use it. He has a technician that can just dial in anything, can track this other thing across galaxies, and has no problem.
They don't even know they don't even know there's a second one, right? Like that's what Glendale says. He's like, they don't even know I have this, but they can track it. Like what? What doesn't make any sense? Like, how do they know how to use it more than he does? It still doesn't make any sense.
That's the only thing. Like the one of the biggest fumbles on his character's part was just that every time that it became a pivotal moment for him, like in the music shop, like he fucked with that thing while they were lighting the entire store up for like what felt like 30 minutes. Maybe it's because I saw 6 ad commercial breaks in the time did that, but like he still couldn't figure it out.
What added to that scene though, and we're jumping ahead here for a millisecond, but Kevin is this musician. He's just mixed up in all of this, right?
High school musician. Has a little band.
And during this scene where they're in a music shop getting blasted by the Skeletor's team, Gwendolyn is in the back just fucking fiddling with this thing, and Kevin's like, I don't get what you're doing. He says, what are you doing? I'm trying to interdimensionalize transport, to the cosmic suns and stuff. He says, I don't get it. What the fuck are you supposed to get? Who are you to understand any part of what he's doing? He's an alien that you didn't know about until 5 minutes ago.
Kevin's story arc is really funny to me because, or like not his story arc, but just like how quickly he just was, like you said, he just kind of dropped into the mix of things. Like,
no, totally.
He tells Julie, okay, well, first of all, he goes to the high school to do a sound check, which is just him testing all of the instruments, and he's like plays a couple things, and he's like, "What do you think, babe?
What do you think, babe?
What do you think?" And then he, whatever. So he's got like stacks of amps, drum set, keyboard, all that stuff. Says Julie, "Hey, babe, I got this thing. Check this out." And he starts fucking with it, and it creates the light thing. He's like, "I gotta take this down to my music guy at the music shop. Can you watch my stuff? Can you watch my stuff for like whatever?" I don't even know how long he says. He's like, "I'll be back soon. Just watch my stuff." And he leaves, and within like 5 minutes,
seconds.
all
of
his equipment
all
is
blown
just level.
Poor Julie.
Just
poor
leveled.
Julie and who is it? Chuck or Charles or something that just gets decimated.
The
janitor.
Hey, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
You can't be back here. Hey, you aliens and beasts and stuff. You can't be here. This is a high school. Get out of here, you aliens and beasts. But okay, Brian, that sound check he does, right?
Yeah.
Okay, he ostensibly finishes his sound check, right? He's finished every part of it.
Yep.
Then he says, "Hey, let's see what this orb thing can do that we found in the cemetery." And so he picks up a microphone from the bass drum of the kit. He just finished the sound check, right? And he says, check.
Yeah.
It should be checked, right?
Yeah.
He's done with that.
Oh, it's fucking checked. Yeah. He's done.
So, okay, there's one other thing about this portal to get them to Earth. And so they get to the Sorcerer Supreme's lair, right? And it's a trap, obviously. Mm-hmm. Skeletor has imprisoned the sorceress in a force field. Mm-hmm. And HeMan, this force field is skin tight, right? It's around her flesh.
Yeah.
And HeMan says to Gwildor, can you open a portal inside her force field? And he says, yeah, sure. To where? Right? Inside her body? Like, where are they going to go?
Yeah.
And so he then starts fiddling with it to make a portal to go inside her force field.
Yeah.
And then he's fiddling. Skeletor shows up, obviously, huge ambush, mega battle happens. And then the old dad, Master at Arms, he says, get us out of here, after just saying, we're not going to leave the sorceress after over our dead bodies, right? And he says, Gwildor, get us out of here. And so Gwildor smashes some buttons, right? And aims this portal gun, just fucking in the path that the enemies are at, right? There's the whole back room that they could have escaped through.
They're already like hiding behind something, so why doesn't he just shoot it back that way?
He just shoots it directly in the path of where these enemies are coming from. And they have to do these barrel roll aerials to get into this portal. But then
That's
so
awesome.
then they get to Earth, and it's this scene where Courtney Cox now is.
Yeah, but the other funny part on that is like they shoot so the portal opens and then they all jump in and then all of a sudden you just see this this harpoon come flying
Grappling
back
hook.
and grappling hook pull it out. And you're like, what? Like who has that? It turns out He-Man has it.
I guess.
Those cosmic keys were actually functional. Like all those buttons and stuff worked and like spun open and stuff.
Well,
and they cost like $6,000 back in the day. So $16,000 each to build one of those. And they had 3 of them on set and they kept breaking and they'd have to swap them out all the time because they would constantly have issues. And I was just like, they always had someone standing by with like a new one or fixing the other one. So just kind of a little tidbit on that little
yikes.
For the imagination aspect of it. It was a cool design, in my opinion. I thought the thing looked pretty cool.
It was cool, but I also like the tones. I mean, I did like the fact that it's like playing music to
music like of the spheres, man.
Yeah,
Green Ranger played his keys.
I did think it was funny that like I felt like they were going for like, you know, music is gonna be what saves this, but then they fucking destroyed an entire music store. Don't make music the epicenter of all of this and then just decimate the do you see how sad Carl or whatever what was the guy's name that owned the store? My store.
Carl. Yeah,
it was Carl.
My store.
There's nothing left. Like it's all just burnt to the ground.
And he got his gun taken away.
Well,
he did.
Well, yeah, that was one of the things where I was like, why didn't he use that? Why didn't they use that gun at the beginning? Like, if there's an epic battle, why didn't he think that? Oh, we should probably get that gun because that's a shotgun that's been sawed off, so it'd be good in close range. Anyways,
maybe he had more faith in Gwildor to be able to like get the portal open quicker.
Okay, should we just jump to the music scene? Music?
No, not yet. Because it goes to this. It opens the scene at a diner, right?
Oh, Julie.
And she's selling a bucket of chicken, right? And she says, well, that was my last bucket of chicken I remember going to sell. Kind of strange, huh? And then she leaves and she's talking to a coworker friend. And coworker's like, are you sure you want to move to another state and dump your boyfriend and stuff and be totally alone and sell your house and stuff? And she's like, I got to get out.
Wait.
Get out of here.
I did like how the lady that she was talking to was like, I actually got you a going away gift. And then she's like, oh, you didn't have to do that. And she's like, well, I didn't wrap it. And she's like, oh, that's fine. Actually, I'm just going to give it to you. Here's my advice. This is your gift.
Dump Kevin, you idiot.
Or no, hang on to Kevin. Don't dump Kevin.
Don't dump Kevin.
Anyway.
So she says, I just know. I know that it's not going to work out between me and Kevin, and I got to get away from Kevin. Honk, honk, honk. Oh, that's Kevin. I got to go.
Oh, that's Kevin. Yeah. It's like you now are like know behind the scenes of like, oh man, Kevin's about to get dumped.
Yep. Man.
Awesome.
It served nothing to the story because immediately they're then basically back together through this the insanity that befalls upon them, right? Aliens coming out of portals and stuff and he beasts and whatever.
Yep.
So it served nothing to the overall narrative. And it was also just weird because he was never not a part of her life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to dump Kevin. And he says, hey, I'm here to take you to the airport.
Yeah.
You're sure you want to go? And she's like, stop. And he says, okay, but you can come to my sound check, right? It's just a prom like sound check at the high school, which they're both students at.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, that was the only thing that is, I got to get away from Kevin. Honk, honk. That's Kevin. I got to go.
That's Kevin. I got to go. Yeah.
But then, okay. So they're the aliens and stuff, the He-Man and his crew like get to Earth and they're creeping around by this diner and they're all like, disperse to your sectors to go find the key, and they all just immediately converge at the diner. And they spot this couple in a convertible making out and stuff. And the Master of Arms turns out that he's the dad to just the other platoonist or soldier that's there.
Yeah. Tila.
And he says to the daughter, sees them making out. Yep. I was doing that before you were born. Like, that's kind of how that works. That's literally how that works.
Makes sense.
Check. That checks out.
Okay. So yeah, there's this kind of like wandering around.
I liked the way that the Gwildor like sent his grapple hook.
Grapple hook. Another guy.
And it looked like it looked the way the camera angle was. It looked like it was a fishing rod.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Also, how he just dumped the ketchup.
Yeah. There were so many just random buckets of chicken placed in this movie.
Tons
some blatantly by Burger King, and then the diner was definitely not Burger King, right? That she was at.
No, yeah.
Why not just have her work at Burger King?
Yeah.
But so they find the key, take it to the school for a sound check. Aliens show up, destroy all of Kevin's stuff, and they try to take Julie or something, and then He-Man shows up, blah 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 blah. And so this crack team of 4 commandos from Skeletor just gets owned immediately and goes back to Skeletor. The last thing Skeletor tells them is, do not come back without the key. And they come back 5 minutes later with nothing, and He-Man's still alive. These are the galaxy's most devious, ruthless killers.
Yeah.
Beastman gets his face burned. They all have their pride's been hurt. Sauron gets the axe.
Yeah. That poor lizard dude. Yeah.
And then they have to have Evil Lynn come with them to come and see what they can do. And then they have a scanner when they go back to see, like, back in time to see how they fought. And Karg is like, I don't know.
You guys see, they're looking for this other key, right? Not only have they said they can track its location, they have a little handheld doodad to track its location a different way. And they have this ray gun that can look back in time, which could be used to find where the key went, right? And they can never find it because I guess he made the other one so busted that the main homing feature just doesn't work.
It's delayed every time that they show up. They've moved it to a new place.
So it's like some stuff in the middle that doesn't really matter, except for the fact that Kevin gets has this like truth serum collar on him that eventually the aliens come and say, where's the key? And it's with Carl because the cop took it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He-Man then shows up. So He-Man in the team Gwildor retrofitted this old like boat of a car to have neutrino jet engines and stuff. And they're coming up to Julie's house, which is where Kevin was. And you see this hovercraft leave with the aliens, and they basically intersect, right? And they just don't even recognize the fact. The He-Man's team just doesn't recognize the fact that
the thing just showed up. Yeah, the way
Skeletor
they cut
crew just left.
The way they cut it, it was like it was flying away as they were coming in.
Yeah.
I still can't get over the fact that this whole time they could have had a ship that could track it from the air. Like,
because at the very end, there's like, we could track it from the air.
Yeah.
So that's a 4th thing that they can track this thing with.
Yeah.
So they get in.
Gwildor didn't even know he could do that.
They find Kevin. Gwildor didn't know.
Again, like he's like, I made it, but I don't know how it works.
So this is one of my favorite parts. It was so subtle.
Yeah, go ahead.
They find Kevin. He's all tied up or whatever. It doesn't matter, and he freaks out when he sees all of them, especially Gwildor.
Yeah.
And Julie says, "Hey, just cool it. That's a squirrel door." She mispronounced the name.
Yep.
And then it was just they couldn't repeat it or whatever.
That's Gwildor.
And so they all said his name a little bit differently, but she blatantly just says Gwildor.
Man.
I don't know. That was just really funny to me.
Troll. Just reminds. It's just like Battlefield Earth.
Yep. So I don't know. Is there any other funny stuff? I guess the parade. That was pretty funny.
I think one of my favorite things was the way that they used when they were like, we can track it from the air. Send out the flying centurions. And they literally look like little green army figurines.
Oh yeah.
With their feet.
With their
together,
feet on the thing, just like floating in the air.
Yeah.
I just thought that scene, and there was one in particular where I don't know what they were trying to convey happened, but He-Man was like, was he chasing a centurion? But then he did this upside down flip and somehow ended up in front of the centurion.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I don't know. It was really confusing. I
think one of the best parts of the Centurion is he's chasing the Centurions are chasing like He-Man in that group, and they're like, we got to get in this building, and He-Man rips off the door and they go in, and then the Centurion goes to the second level and just slowly is shooting out a window, moving to the next one, shooting out a window, moving to the next one, shooting out a window, comes to the next one, He-Man breaks the window, grabs him and just knocks him out. It was just like, and then they just keep reusing. They kept using the same buildings over and over because they ran out of budget, so they just had to layer in those Centurions back and forth.
Oh,
I think that part and Skeletor's one-man slowest parade on
Skeletor's parade. I mean, that has to be
the saddest parade.
It really was.
But it's actually, what?
So that the other part too on that. So Evelyn is like, send the signal to Skeletor. So then they start walking down the street for whatever reason, but then you see Skeletor come in, and this is where the parade starts. But the first thing Skeletor says is, "Can I get a status report?" And it's like, she just sent you the coordinates to the fact that she found the key. So what else do you need? Like, that's all she can tell you.
Okay. Also, I have here in a note, we've said now that they can track this motherfucking key 5 different ways, right? Across galaxies, right? And so Skeletor arrives fucking miles away from where she said it was, right?
Yep.
She's on the other side of town. They have to go reconvene in the middle of this town, right?
She has a ship.
Yeah, she has her own ship.
She is just walking down the street again. And this is where He-Man temporarily steals it away again. And it's like, why is she just walking down the street? And again, where is everyone? Why is there no people?
But because she says, send Skeletor the progress report or whatever, right? And then you see it pans to Skeletor on his hovercraft. And then the next scene, the parade scene, where they're going down the street, everyone's just there. Evelyn is with him in the front. Yeah. They've just convened immediately. She's just walking down the street again. And so He-Man leads everyone to this building and says, go to the roof, right? He steals a hovercraft and says, because I got to go get
him. Yeah.
I got to go use my harpoon gun again and go get the key.
Yeah.
And so he says, go to the roof because when I get back, we're going to activate this thing. And so he's flying off, trying to chase the other Centurions. And meanwhile, Skeletor says to the last Centurion, lead him to me. And he is at the same roof as the He-Man squad. And so they're leading each other to the same spot.
Apparently his ship is dead silent and no one can hear the other soldiers going on roofs. And then Skeletor is just creepily coming up and it's just like, haha, gotcha, bitch. just announces himself.
I think
and they're like,
even more than the onset for me was his exit. His exit on that ship was like, no. Yeah, it was like...
He rose up and down so slow. He's like, I got the sword, I got the key, I got everything. Bye. Slowly descends.
Yeah,
fantastic.
it was.
Yeah, I think the parade was so fitting for Skeletor, and maybe there is some hidden symbolism here because he has this grand parade, right in the middle of the street, and literally nobody is there to see it.
Yep.
And it's kind of like how he's stormed and taken Castle Grayskull, and Evil Lynn was at his knees saying, "Bro, nobody fucking likes you."
Bruh.
So it's kind of fitting that he go to another planet where nobody knows who he is and also just doesn't give a shit.
Don't give a
Yes.
Even though he's an alien, they just don't care. Can't be bothered. Even the cops don't show up.
Yeah.
The cops are thinking that the guy, the main sergeant or whatever, who's just tripping on PTSD from the Korean War. Is just...
What's his name? Looper or Lupin or
Lubin.
Lubin
is literally out of his mind the entire time, thinking back to having flashbacks to the Korean War, and all of his other policemen are like, "Bro, what are you doing? You got us out here in the middle of the night, and there's nobody out here."
Yeah,
literally
His dialogue was so fucking annoying to me for some reason, and I don't know why. Like, I mean, it was just that, like.
He
that
plays
whole
the same
energy
guy
of like
in Top Gun. He's
like,
that
I know
general
what
in
I'm
Top
talking
Gun.
about here. Y'all are just a bunch of kids.
Yep.
And even when they're like, no, you don't understand. Like, what's happening right now is that there's these aliens that are attacking, and like there's these beasts, and we have to like defend this portal thing. Even still, it's happening in the music store, and he's still, even after it's done, is like, I don't buy it.
This is a bunch of crap.
It's a bunch of crap. Like, but then at the end, he's sitting on the throne.
He's not even coming back. He goes at retirement.
Random part of this movie.
Kind of fake or like almost like pseudo ass slap.
Oh, he totally grabs her ass. She's like, I got a woman. I'm in outer space. The Korean War may not have happened for me after all. He's like literally just tripping out.
Yeah.
But yeah, he at the very to get to
I gotta admit, I did not
whatever.
expect him to decide to stay. I mean, I would assume he would just go
What
back.
purpose does that serve to this fucking story for having
That's what I'm saying.
him
It doesn't.
say?
And why does he deserve a silver lining of being on a throne
right?
with a woman? He literally agitated the whole story, almost stopped him from like
Completing the mission.
saving
Activating the
humanity,
thing,
like,
right?
Activating the thing.
Yeah.
He like tried to get in the way.
Yeah.
It's like this
I don't
doesn't
know,
make
man.
any sense. But yeah,
Well, so we were talking about Skeletor going up and down slowly. Like right when he gets up there, and then Julie is trying. He-Man comes to try and help them, and like He-Man is like taking on 8 guys at a time. And I don't understand. No one ever shot him when they had like 8 people on him. Which,
Yeah.
I
They're
feel
just
like
letting
you
him
could
fight.
disarm him. Yeah, they're just letting him fight. And then finally, like Julia gets poison lasered.
Yeah.
And then He-Man gives up his sword. But this was like the best part, because He-Man gives up his sword and Blade takes the sword. And he is like a kid that just got a home run ball at a baseball game. He's like,
yeah. Did you see that?
like, he is so excited. And the whole time, like, they're walking back, I'm pretty sure he just holds it like this, like walking back. Going
Never gets to use it either, right?
Nope. Never gets to
He
use
just
it.
gets to turn it in as soon as they get back to Infinitor or whatever.
man.
So one last thing about Skeletor being hated. He wants to be liked so bad, right?
Totally.
He's just hated by everyone. He gets back and he's activating this planet-wide hologram where he appears as this orb to the entire planet, everywhere, all at once, right? And he did that at the beginning of the movie, and now he's doing it at the end, saying that, bro, I got the sword, the sorceress is doomed, and I'm about to open the brown eye, right? And get the universe's power.
That's right.
And
yeah, buddy.
he's announcing this to no one.
2 people.
He's announcing
like
it to the
person.
abyss of a desert. Nobody is there on this planet to You hear him.
They've all just left.
It's like
they're like, this guy fucking sucks. Let's get out of here.
Well, that's what I was trying to figure out. Like, what is the point of this world? Like, is it totally just a desert? Because like, why is good even here? Like, who cares? This is the worst place ever.
Who cares? Nobody fucking cares. The domain for him is so ominous and stupid. Like, if there's nothing, there's nothing there.
There's nothing
for anybody to enjoy.
Like, I totally get the fact that, like, you know, Mount of Snakes would probably be a desert and like barren because he's the bad guy. But like, at no point did they show another side of this world. Like, it is just a desert. Gray Skull is a desert.
Yeah,
it's just a
It
castle on a
gets back
desert.
to this name, right? For all we know, Snake Mountain is on a different planet, right?
Yeah.
It makes no sense that. But God, the ending where Lubin is just on the throne, right? He's next to the throne in those robes, and he's next to a woman and stuff, and it's just so fucking random and stupid. It's just like, who cares about him?
Right? Yeah,
nobody.
That's
That's
like
why I don't
unnecessary filler.
Was it because he was like in Top Gun like the year before? So like they're like, oh, like this guy, everybody knows this guy, so we'll just kind of like give him the heartfelt story or something.
Had to be something like that, because that dude didn't earn shit. He shouldn't have belonged.
Can we talk about Kev real quick? So Kev, like the key is destroyed of Gwildor's, and they're like, we don't know how to get back. What are we gonna do? And the key has been destroyed. So they are like, the only way we can get back is if we have the tones and we can find these other parts. And then Kev is just like, well, hold on 1 sec. And he's just like sitting there humming and like singing, and like he's like, I got the tones, like this is the song right here.
Nailed it.
He's like, how did you do that?
It's just 5 notes, right? It's five notes.
Yeah.
And then
you remembered
yeah. So it's 5 notes, right? And it's all this big deal about ha 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 or whatever, and then they finally, hot glue gun this portal key back together, right? They have fishing wires coming out, and it takes up this whole park bench or something.
That's right.
And Kevin goes to get his synthesizer. It's not plugged in, right? There's no amp. There's no speaker keyboard at all. And he plays something fucking different.
Yeah.
Saying this
doesn't matter.
It's the frequency. He plays completely different.
Yeah.
And how does Gwildor not know any of this?
He made
the thing, and he has no idea.
That's the part that doesn't make any sense. Is like Gwildor does not understand anything about what he invented.
That's the part that just makes me laugh. So, like, when I was watching it the whole time, he was just
well, I don't know.
Yeah, he just played that classic character that, they worked so hard on his prosthetics, and he was kind of like the funny guy. Like, okay, so when we watch Skrull,
yeah, it's the guy with drowning in the water.
Yes.
2 feet of water.
Yes. It's the same kind of character, just like this, supposed to be the funny, but also I'm saying it like I'm shitting on it, but I think in that era of movie making, that kind of character was good. Like, it was pivotal.
Yeah. Right.
And it manifested in different ways. Like, I know Star Wars was even further back than this, but like
sure.
C-3PO was kind of like that comedic
comic relief, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think Gwendolyn was supposed to be that, but
I don't know.
It's just annoying.
Gwildor,
like,
man.
if you don't even remember why you're here, why are you here? Like,
I don't know.
you have one fucking job. You are the key master, and you don't know how to work the key.
It's just
he was a key master for a planet that didn't lock their doors. So
I think that's the takeaway from the whole movie for me. I just didn't even think about that fact that he.
Well,
gone are the days of not having to lock your doors.
Well, also, okay, so at the beginning, why was there a cut from when these bad guys were going into Gwildor's house? Why did they take a cut to go and show them stepping on his rocks? Like, what's the point?
On his garden?
Yeah, on his garden. Like, what was
trash
the
his
point
garden.
of that? Like, there was a specific scene where they
Yeah.
cut to like where the feet were stepping on those. Like,
Oh man.
why?
So I guess if I'm thinking about
filler?
it from a creative standpoint, it seems to us like it's filler. But I think, if they had like big dreams with how they were going to paint these worlds, like that's just one B-roll scene of many that they probably like could
One paintbrush.
Yeah, it's like one brush stroke of like, oh man, let's show these like this garden of like orby glass looking kind of thing.
There's 2 square feet of a garden that they
just
destroyed.
Yeah. That's. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
There's
so
one
I
more
thought
small
He-Man.
thing.
I did think He-Man. Whether or not this was on purpose or not, I felt like some of Thor's mannerisms in the Marvel, the MCU, little things like the way he talks, kind of like his overall kind of jolly despite what's happening demeanor. Was very reminiscent. I feel like they kind of pulled his like kind of dumb confidence from this a little bit.
Yeah, I honestly Dolph did actually a really good job. There was actually a part where in some of the research I was doing, they talked about Dolph, and the director actually was talking about dubbing over everything that he did, because they were worried about how he would talk and if it was clear enough and stuff. And I think it sounded fine to me. Like I didn't think it was too big of I mean, you can tell he has an accent, but I mean, I think he just talks a little bit slower than what you'd normally hear. But ultimately, the reason they didn't dub it over is because they ran out of time and budget. So it just worked out too.
The interesting thing I found is that it's really not like he's the main character, right? He's not in it that many scenes.
Yeah,
he's not.
It's really more about Julie and Kevin, and then Skeletor. Because He-Man is kind of a secondary thing to this whole operation.
Yeah,
he's kind of like the therapist. Like he's just like the team cheerleader for the most part.
Yeah.
Kind of does the last scene fighting Skeletor.
Yeah.
Did you notice the symbols and shapes on this stupid throne? I mean, there was a cutout that looked like New Jersey, and then there was just like a scribble 3, and it was just like it was the stupidest looking.
I missed that.
I remember there was a spiral that was just drawn by a 1-year-old or something. It was just this spiral that just had no
like that,
like concentricity. It was so just terrible.
Like There's also never mind. We already talked about this, but it was just like, did you guys watch? The other thing I was gonna ask, did you guys watch after the credits?
No.
Nope.
So Skeletor is not dead.
Okay.
And he comes back from underneath and rises from there. So he's not dead.
Let's go.
Which set up for the sequel.
He fell so far. I'm like,
Chad,
bro, why'd you set up your layer this way? Like, what? I don't know.
That's the other thing about Grayscale is it's like good on one level and then bad on another level and good on one level. So it's like,
well, that's the whole point of the sorceress, right? She's keeping good and evil in balance. And so Skeletor has to stay around, right? Because the world or the universe needs that whatever
evil. Interesting.
He's He-Man's counterpoint.
Right.
And
if one dies, the other one becomes more powerful.
Yeah. He-Man breaking out of there is one. When he did Skeletor out of his golden staff when he leveled up to his mega evolution. When he shot at
Cabo Gold Skeletor.
Yeah, when he shot out of his staff at He-Man perfectly timed it to break one one of his 2 chains. Unless I didn't see it right. One of his 2.
Nailed it.
And then the next one, he had
whipping
this
his other one around
loose.
Yeah.
It's just like, how? How does that make any sense? I guess if I don't know if one's broken, you might be able to yank the other one, but it just like they didn't show that, and all of a sudden it was just like, bing, I'm good.
Yep.
Yeah, I really don't know.
One of the other things about that scene was that so they had to get Julie back to Infinity Land, so that the sorceress could heal her bug bite, right?
Yeah.
And so they get their makeshift.
By the way.
What's that?
It looked gross.
Yeah. But they get that makeshift portal up and running, right, and activated.
Yep.
And it takes the park bench, it takes half of a wall, it takes half of the car. No Julie. She's not there.
I was thinking the same thing. Where was she?
Left her behind. But then she's there for the final grand parade of good, right? Where He-Man's walking her down the aisle.
So good. Yeah.
And then the sorceress, so Gwildor is going to send him back, Kevin and Julie back.
Yeah.
The sorceress gives Kelly this fucking orb thing, saying something dumb like, you'll always be at the universe or something. Who cares? They wake up back in time, and Julie's parents aren't alive and stuff, and her and Kevin meet out in the street, and he's holding the orb thing. And
yep, don't know.
I don't know.
I mean,
don't know. Yeah, I have a few questions about this movie overall. Just like, but I will say it was pretty entertaining, like in kind of a laughable way.
It was not painful to get through.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Surely there were moments to dunk on it, and dunks were had, but
yeah, it was way better than I thought it was going to be.
Same.
Way more enjoyable somehow.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was like a lot of stuff that we're making fun of the Gilroyd on. Like, it was. I mean, that character is funny in general.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? We didn't even talk about the fact that like the whole reason that Evelyn, did we talk? I don't think we did. Evelyn got the key is because Julia just walked out and saw her dead mom and was like, oh yeah, I'll just give you the key, like no big deal, like obviously you didn't die, so
she's like, we've been working on a secret mission, sorry we didn't fill you in on it.
Those aliens that tried to kill you and stuff, don't worry about it. It's part of the whole thing, and you wouldn't understand.
Yeah. Love kid,
give me the key, please. Love you.
Need the key
back.
Give it.
Yeah. Well, like we did mention, I'll give you this one thing and then we can just score. So Mattel is the toy company. They actually ran a contest before He-Man came out to have somebody that would actually be in the film. So a winner actually won to be a person in the film. And the production was under like a great deal of pressure to finish on time and under budget. So the director, his name is Gary Goddard, had to squeeze this contestant into some shoot. So he filled him in at the end, and he's credited in the credits as the last character. His name's Pig Boy, and he hands Skeletor his staff when he comes back from Earth, and that is the guy. His name is Richard Ponder, and he said like he had so much makeup on and stuff that when they ripped off his mask and stuff, there was so much glue. Like he said, his face burned so much from that. Like, it was like the worst thing ever. But he is credited in the film because he was the contestant that won.
I mean, that's
Mattel.
cool. That's pretty cool.
Very cool. Well, this is the Ascension to 10 podcast. We give movie scores on an 11-point scale from Ascension to 10.
Ascension to 10.
Bri, it's been a minute. What you got?
Man,
to remind you, you've given out 4 scores. You've given a Krull a 2, Severance a 9.9, which is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I think
Top
I
Gun
later
10,
corrected it.
Top Gun 10, you had no problem just instantly saying 10, which we all said 10, but like No problem. 10. But for Severance, which is
like
objectively
Severance
the best thing that's ever been made, you're like, oh, I don't know if I could ever gonna, how could I ever give something a 10 because then it could always get better. And it's like, I don't know what season 2 is going to be like, and it's like all this.
Yeah,
so I'm
his
gonna give it
point.
9.9.
Hey,
Top go to 10.
his point stands true that if there's another season, if we're holding it as the whole canon, then he is still subjectively okay there.
Yeah, I think that's
the review was about Severance season 1.
Yeah, but it's an incomplete story. That's
Okay,
different than rating.
And
a
then
movie.
you gave. And then Moonfall, which was your last appearance, which was another amazing episode. Was obviously an Ascension.
Yeah,
that was that Moonfall episode was kind of like this one actually.
Yeah,
yeah, you're right. That was amazing.
Yeah. Okay.
I think
what you got for us?
I would say on this rating system, for the sake of enjoyability, I gave this one. Let's do a 3.69.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Spenny?
Yeah.
I was right on. I was tracking close to that. I was at 3.4.
That's what I gave it. Let's go, boys.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I think, that's leaving room for movies that are, I don't know. I feel like the hardest ones to give, or hardest scores to give are going to be those 5, 6, 7 range.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah, because they just don't make for good episodes, right?
Right.
Sure. Have we done a good one in a while? I feel like we're kind of late on.
Not since Top Gun, really.
Yeah.
Right. We have some unfinished business. We were going to. We forgot to bring up at the top of the show, and that is maybe Spenny could talk more about this, but links in the description for this. But we do have a Patreon, and shout out to our very first Patreon supporter, Samantha G.
Yes,
thank you very much for that.
Heck yeah.
Very, very much appreciated.
It's awesome.
Absolutely no pressure to do be a part of the Patreon system, but if you feel so inclined, links are in the description. Again, no pressure, but we do appreciate it.
Dude,
just do it.
But you don't have to.
Every little bit helps.
But you don't have to. No,
but yeah, never not going to stop doing these. So
yeah,
never gonna. We are just going to continue to spend money to make this thing better.
Hell yeah!
Somebody.
That's the name of the game. That's what it's about.
Track. Yeah,
it's an investment.
It's still early.
You
guys.
know this.
Still early. Yeah. But I guess if the Patreon thing becomes a popular thing, there might be something that we do for.
Oh yeah, totally.
Specifically for Patreon members. So we don't know what that might even be at this point, but some form of
open
extra
to
content.
suggestions, and you can email us at boys@ascension10.com if you've got ideas.
Boom.
Brilliant.
Yep.
Brilliant.
Love it.
Let's see. I'm trying to think what else we got. Let's see. I just want to let you guys know that Skeletor mask actually found a second life after this movie. It was used on the set of Star Trek The Next Generation and also Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It was the face of skull-faced aliens of Lieutenant Worf that often fights on the holodeck.
Chad,
let's
confirm?
freaking go.
Isn't that pretty cool?
That's wild.
Cool.
Fun little tidbit.
Good use
for you.
of it.
Yeah. And that
Can't
this
just
Canon
throw it away.
Films company, this Canon Films company went bankrupt in 1990 because they just generated so much trash.
Like
they did this one and Superman 5: The Quest for Peace, both in 1987, and they both were just complete failures. And they just never could recover, so they kept trying to make these $2 to $4 million budget ones, and they never worked out. And then they finally went bankrupt in 1990. So.
Dang, they had a good run.
Poor guys.
Yeah,
poor guys.
Well, I enjoyed this at a 3.69 level, and
yep.
I applaud them for taking a crack at it.
So we do.
So what's next?
Yeah, I say I'm going to give you guys. I've got some options here, and I want you to listen to a written review, and you decide which one we should do.
Okay. Did you write this? Read these?
No, these were critic reviews of films.
Nice.
So I did it
excited.
without using the name of the film.
Smart.
Nice.
We'll do the first one. While its question about identity are intriguing, its execution is tedious. I was less interested in the cloning technology than how the family's phone still worked after immersion in the river water, which could actually be useful. So that's the first one.
Okay.
Okay. Swerves into irreversible stupidity down the stretch. Generally plays like a half-formed prequel to Ancient Aliens and ends like a Disney ride version of Ad Astra. But the director hands it all over to sustained tension in the second act.
Okay.
Here's the
That's a
last
strong one.
The barometer of this film's undoing is the director's super low-key performance, which starts out as a poker-faced spoof of heroic cool, but takes a misstep more fatal than the mere time travel can undo.
I mean,
I think it's obvious. The second one.
Second one.
Right.
Okay,
That's the one.
we're doing Mission to Mars.
Mission to Mars.
Yes, I think it's from 2000 something. Forgot what.
That's not the one with Gary Sinise, is it?
Oh, hell yeah.
That's not a bad one.
Are you sure?
I like that one.
Well,
No,
Used to anyways.
Mission to Mars 2000. It's in 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, Gary Sinise.
All right. What was the review?
What was the review?
Yeah.
Do you want me to read it again?
Yeah.
Let's see. Swerving into irreversible stupidity down the stretch, generally plays like a half-formed prequel to Ancient Aliens and ends like a Disney ride version of Ad Astra. The director hands it all over to sustainable tension in the second act.
All right. It's on the books.
Well, we'll find out. I don't know. It didn't seem to be any real rave reviews about this film, but I guess we'll find out.
yeah.
But
TBD.
TBD, boys.
But until next
Alrighty.
time, I guess that's it.
That's
Thank
it.
you guys for having me on this one.
Well, thanks for coming. Glad our nap
Thanks for
schedule
coming.
didn't impede with your presence, because we always like having you.
Nap
What did
schedule.
you just say?
His nap schedule.
Oh,
Don't ever take naps. I fell asleep on the couch. I'm an hour
no.
later
Okay.
than you guys.
All right, whatever. All right.
all right.
All right.
He's
I'll talk to
Brian.
you.
He's
Yep,
Jad.
see ya.
I'm Spenny. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
To the town.